It's one of those days, so let's break some stuff. Let's spend the time changing the first-person shooter template gun to a hit scan weapon and create some breakable cubes. If you find this or any of my videos helpful, like, subscribe, and leave a comment about what you want to see next or if you have any questions. Let's make a new project using the first-person shooter template. If you didn't already know, the first-person shooter template gun typically fires projectile balls that bounce and move the blue cubes. We are going to change this to a hit scan, but first, let's make aiming easier. I made a simple reticle in Photoshop with no background and dragged it into the editor. Make a new blueprint widget and add a canvas and an image. Set the anchor to the center of the screen and size the image and center it. Then set the crosshair as the image. Optionally, you can decrease the opacity to make it less harsh on the screen. Since I only want the crosshairs on screen when holding the weapon, I will enable it on weapon pickup in the rifle blueprint. Get the player controller and use the create widget node and add it to the viewport. The default behavior will have the projectile hit well below the crosshairs due to more of a lobbing effect on the ball as compared to shooting it. Let's change how this weapon fires. First, we look for the shoot event in the weapon component. We will still need the sound and animation, so we will move it to the side for now. We will use a line trace by channel for the hit scan. I have a debate going about if it's better to use the camera manager to access the camera, cast to the camera directly, or get the player's viewpoint. I don't know, but personally I like using the viewpoint. Seems cleaner. But I think they all work just fine. We need the location and the rotation of the camera. The camera's location is where we will start the line trace. Then multiply the rotation by how far you want the ray to go and add that result to the start location to know the max endpoint of the trace. I like to turn on the debug view to make sure that everything looks correct. The line trace is starting and ending in the correct places and is hitting the center of the crosshairs. We just need to reattach the sound and animation code that we moved to the side earlier. Since the sound and animation should play no matter what, I'm going to use a sequence node to play that before checking for hits. Now that sounds like a weapon. Let's get the blue cubes moving again. We are going to mimic the code that was already there. Unreal Engine gets crabby if you try to add an impulse to something that can't move. So we will check if the hit target is simulating physics. If it is, then we can add an impulse to the hit component at the hit location. The impulse is really just a direction as a vector of the hit multiplied by how hard the hit is. To get the direction for the impulse, subtract the start of the trace from the end of the trace and normalize it. Then multiply it by a power value. Play with this until you are satisfied. In my first attempt, 5,000 was way too small. I don't like working with large numbers, so you can multiply the power by a scalar or multiplier so that the power value can be much smaller. That's a little too much. Still too much. That feels pretty good. You can change these until you are happy. We need to recreate the blue cube to become a breakable cube. I'm going to call this blueprint breakable cube. Just add a cube mesh to the root, simulate physics turned on, and color it not blue. And it works just like the blue cubes. Go us. Time to make a broken cube. Select your cube and switch to fracture mode. Hit new to make a new geometry collection and select the type of fracture pattern you want. Here you can select how many pieces to fracture to. I like starting with big chunks and doing it again for smaller pieces. Be careful with this because big pieces don't always like to break apart. You can delete and replace the object or search for bone colors to turn off the rainbow texture. Now nothing happens. Great. The problem is that geometry collections don't register physics the same way, so you can't just add an impulse. The easiest way to interact with this is to use fields. Make a new blueprint with a master field parent. I like to turn on debugging so I can see the field in testing. Set the activation type to trigger and enable both use directional velocity vector and override directional velocity vector. I'm sure there's a way to only use one, but fields are fussy and I just wanted to make sure they worked in this tutorial. We are going to need an interface to notify when we hit a cube. In there, make a function for when we hit something. I will need the data from the impact, so I will add the hit results as an input parameter to pass it along. In the weapon component, add the interface and call the interface function when it hits. You should call this for when both simulating physics and not. I need the raw hit results, so I have to combine the pins and break them in a separate node. Reconnect the correct pins and add the interface to the breakable cube blueprint. Let's just print to screen to make sure that the event is triggering and that the hit data is passing along. I forgot that we still have a geometry node in the level. We aren't currently changing that, so shooting it has no effect. This won't do anything. This will. Not this one. This is where I noticed that I didn't call the interface function if simulate physics is on. Now we see the print to screen, but something feels wrong. That box isn't moving the same way. Yep, I forgot to connect a bright and obvious yellow pin. That's better. We are going to replace the breakable cube with a broken cube when it gets shot. Create a new blueprint for your already broken cube. Drag your geometry collection into there. In the non-broken cube, we spawn a broken cube in the same transform as the current cube. Be sure to always spawn. We will also spawn a field at the impact point to push the broken cube apart. Again, set to always spawn. The field won't do anything until it's triggered. Use CE trigger to do this. And remove the original cube with destroy actor. You can see it broke, but not very well, and we are unable to shoot it again. Also, the field stays forever. We have some more work to do. I spent so much time playing with the scale to try to break the cube better, but setting all the scales involved to 1 worked best. The magnitude is how hard it hits. Adjusting this wasn't working as planned. I think that I set my first fracture level too big, and the field sometimes didn't reach the fracture line. I will need the field to push the pieces in the direction that I am shooting it, so I will set the directional velocity vector now while I am trying to adjust the power. Nothing was going right here. I spent way too long testing and adjusting. I spent this time reevaluating my life and pondered if I should even be a game developer or a YouTube educator. Nothing seemed to work. Despair settles in, and misery engulfs me. Then I remembered I needed to use the override direction velocity vector with a multiplier to the direction vector. Finally! I never doubted myself. Still can't shoot the pieces to break them again though. This is a lot more straightforward. In the Broken Cube blueprint, add the interface and add the interface function event to the event graph. I will use print screen to show how the event gets triggered. You can see that it doesn't get called during the change, only after the broken cube has already spawned and is shot again. The fields sticking around will quickly become a problem for memory. Typically, I just delay and destroy, but I decided to try the lifespan options. This was a stupid idea. I don't know why, but the field isn't working as well as it should. Delay and destroy actor seems to work better. Try it on your system and let me know which works better for you. I'm going to dial back the directional multiplier. And copy-paste the field spawn nodes in the Broken Cube blueprint. Oops, don't copy the destroy actor node. Oops, delete it from the right blueprint. Now we can shoot the larger pieces to break them again, but the small pieces still stick around. We want them to go away once they are fully broken or haven't been shot in a bit. I'm going to create a delay timer so that when the broken cube is spawned, it will put the pieces to sleep and then remove them. I will use a retriggerable delay so that if you shoot a piece, it will wake up and start the timer over again. Still not removing. But it's asleep because it can't be shot again. We need to wake them up. Nope, I just disconnected the code. Go into the geometry collection and search sleep and enable remove on sleep. Now it's working. Look at it go away. I'm going to change the broken cube material back to matching the breakable cube and turn off the field debug. Make copies of the breakable cube and make yourself a rage room. It seems if a cube with a big piece is under another unbroken cube, the unbroken cube can hold the broken cube together. Next time, I would set my first fracture to 10 or 20 and not 5. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe and leave a comment about what you want to see next, or if you have any questions about this video. Thanks for watching.